What's up, y'all? This is Moochie and you're rocking with Moochilla's Review. So hit the hammer because you came through. Ow. I'm talking about Power Book 2, Season 2, Episode 7. The name of the episode is Forced My Hand. A lot of stuff happened in this episode. There's a lot of twists and turns. We're starting to see more division among the Tejada family. Tariq is getting more caught up in the web with these ladies. So let's get into it. And Lowe is putting his plan into motion to take back the streets and dominate the drug game in Queens. Lorenzo and Drew bust through the door. Keno is smashing his girl. And they bust in, but he has a gun too. But Drew got the drop on him, and he shoots him right in the head. Now, with all of this happening, it's quiet now because Keno's dead. Carlito's in the room, and him and Carlito have a little sidebar conversation where he tells him, now I want you to push everything back out into the street. So now you want to get your crew together. We're going to get our crew together and push everything back onto the street. And Drew is talking to the lady that was with Keno, and he tells her, you didn't see anything. So he was assuming that they was going to keep her alive. But the sidebar conversation between Carlito and Lorenzo tells him, handle that. And when he tells him to handle that, he shoots her and she's dead. But Drew had no idea this was going to happen. So he's like, what the fuck? And he said, because you took the shot, we can't afford to have any loose ends. I can't afford to have you out there where you might end up getting jammed up with this body. But I think that was intentionally done to keep Drew in the game. Monet is at the bar, handling her business, and Frank's wife Evelyn comes in. And Evelyn says to Monet, the last time I saw Frank, he was on his way to surprise you. And Monet says, I guess he didn't make it. The last time I saw Frank, he was looking at some serious time. How did he get out? What did he do to get out? And Evelyn tells Monet she doesn't know. She was just happy to see Frank home. And she says, I hate that my boys have to pay for their father's sin. And I would hate for you to be like me, left behind to pick up the pieces. Monet tells her, we know the rules when we got into this. And she gives her some money, I guess, to hold her over so she could, I guess, put things back together in her life. The last thing that Evelyn says before she leaves is to tell Lorenzo to be careful out there. Tariq meets Davis McClain and Sachs at a church to tell him some latest development in his case. There's a security footage showing a person, and they're saying that the person may be him actually doing the shooting on Detective Ramirez. Tariq tells them that it can't be him because he was meeting with Paula at Rockefeller Center at that time. So Paula was Davis McClain's previous partner. So Sachs says, let's go to Paula and collaborate and establish the alibi. But Davis McClain burnt his bridges with that because, he was doing unethical stuff. He was sleeping with Paula, so they ended on a bad note. So he's reluctant to go talk to her to see if they could use the alibi, but he's going to talk to her and see if he could do that. So they say, well, Tariq, if it's not you in the picture, then who is it? Do you know who it is? But he doesn't want to say who it is. And Sachs is like, if he knows who it is, this person's framing you. This person is close to you and is framing you to take this murder for this cop. It's the street, Sachs, McClain says. Maybe he won't say because he can't say. Meanwhile, back at the Tejada's house, Drew and Lorenzo sneak back in the house to Monet waiting for them to explain why they were late for dinner. And Lorenzo tells them they was handling business. And she says, what kind of business? So Lorenzo sends Drew to his room. And Monet tells Lorenzo, why do I have the feeling you put my son at risk tonight? Monet tells Lorenzo that Drew was shot and there's a safer way to do this. That's why she took her business off the street. So Lorenzo assures Monet that he would let nothing happen to Drew or any of them. So Tariq and Braden are back in their dorm checking out this fraternity photo album that it belongs to Braden's dad. And they're looking for incriminating photos of Sweeney. And they do happen to come across one. They come across one. And not only is Sweeney in a compromising position, Braden's father is also in the picture. So Braden's like, no, I can't let you use that one. No means no. He's like, yo, it's not even about your father. Braden tells Tariq, this may harm my family. And Tariq says, and I needed to save mine. Tariq tells Braden, you're always talking about how you hate what your family stands for and how much you hate white privilege. But until you lose it now, you're acting different. And Braden tells him, that's not fair. I would effing ride for you. But to leak a photo with my dad with the guy in blackface. Tariq is then in the office with Councilman Tate explaining the picture of Sweeney and how Sweeney is in the Heisman pose dressed as OJ in blackface. And Councilman Tate says, let's have the pic, because if the pic, you can't see the pic, people says it didn't happen. Tariq wants some assurance that the Westons will not be dragged into this. And we see Tate's street side come out. He like, fuck your punk ass friend. You're on trial for murder and I'm the only one in hopes of getting your sister back. Tate says he needs that photo before Sweeney's filing date. Tate tells him, am I wasting my time fucking with you, boy? And Tariq tells him he got him. He gonna get it. Tariq walks into class with looks and stares at him. Professor Milgram is like, how could a judge grant him bail? And Tate says, I don't know. So Professor Keylock has this look of disgust because Tariq is in the class and he's free. So the class starts and they're talking about people in power making decisions for other people. Lauren says, like a professor exploiting a student. Bishandria discussed how the police take advantage of their power with making decisions for others. We get on the subject of how Lauren's room was raided because of someone's abuse of power. They also discuss how when you agree to be in a society, you agree to abide by the rules. So now this is where Tariq finds out Lauren's room was raided and they took her to the police station because they found drugs. So Tariq catches up with Lauren. He asks Lauren about her getting caught with the drugs. And she says she figured he knew because everybody else knew. And then he mentions the fact about her keeping secrets from him. And she says, are you serious? You keep secrets from me all the time. And he says, that's just to protect you. So she says, I don't even know why I'm even discussing this with you because you ended the relationship. So we don't even need to continue this discussion. And she walks off. And you know, we see Keylock lurking around looking. Professor Milgram, a.k.a. Keylock. And she's looking at them argue. Lauren sees her and she basically diffuses the conversation with them too and she leaves. She tells Tariq she has to get her speech together for Jabari's memorial dinner tonight. Davis McClain goes to meet with Paula. He lets Paula know that Tariq is up for a double homicide and he needs her for Tariq's alibi. McClain lets Paula know that Tariq told him that he met with her at Rockefeller Center. And she lets Davis McClain know that I looked at everything and he had enough time to get to Long Island City to commit this murder. You can't use her as an alibi because she can't even get on the stand. She said, if I get on the stand, they're going to ask me why I was meeting with Tariq. And it was because he had a videotape of him admitting that he killed his father. This was the tape that was received by Sachs from his niece. And now Sachs is his partner, so she just doesn't like the way he gets down, and she's not having it. Paula tells McClain he needs to make a deal, and he gives one last effort to try to persuade her, and he wants to have a drink with her to convince her. She's not having it. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She tells him to tell Tariq good luck, and she pours the drink on his shoes. And she pretty much leaves after that and tells him to put his ring back on too. And this is where you see the street side of McLean come out talking about she's a bad bitch. So he still was attracted to her with all of that going on. So McLean lets Tariq know that Rockefeller Center isn't going to hold up with the timeline. We can't put Paula on the stand because she's not a friendly. The next person Tariq suggests is his grandmother. And Sachs says the same grandmother that you stripped of custody and said was an alcoholic. So you know you can't use her now. So Davis McLean says we're better off using the kid. Tariq is totally against putting his sister on the stand. Davis McLean assures Tariq that we'll have a hearing so Yasmin will be able to testify at his trial. Tariq tells Davis McLean about his ex-girlfriend getting caught with drugs in her room. Tariq wants to know if this has anything to do with his case. Sachs asks, how did the girl look? And Davis McLean wants to know why is this relevant. Tariq shows the picture to Sachs, and Sachs is like, you know what, just to be safe, I don't think you should talk to her right now. And when Tariq leaves, Sachs and McLean have a sidebar conversation, and he tells him that was the girl that was in Jenny's office the night before. So they know she's going to be working with the prosecution. Drew and Everett are messing around in his dorm room, and Drew asks Everett, does he have any drugs from Course Correct? And Everett lets him know that he's leaving that alone because it's too hot right now, because they found a badge, the detective's badge, in Tariq's room. We see here that Drew knows about the badge, and he knows that Kane, his brother, planted it there. Just then, there's a knock on the door, and it's Detective Whitman. Drew goes and hides in the bathroom, and he questions Everett about a gang attacking him and his teammates, and he wanted to have some additional information. And Everett says he knows nothing else, and he has no further information. Detective Whitman leaves him with his card. Everett looks so nervous, sounds nervous. Drew is hearing all of this happen. And when he leaves, he tells Everett, you're going to see him again. He will be back. He's outside at the park practicing his shot when Dante comes up trying to get a one-on-one game with him. Zeke tells him he's just practicing his form right now. He's not playing any games. And he lets him know about his shot, how sweet his shot is. And then he also tells them that one of his shoe sizes is a half a size bigger than the other. And then he tells them that it runs in their family. I know this is going to sound crazy, he says to Zeke. I'm Dante Spears, and I'm your father. Zeke says, sorry, you got the wrong guy. He leaves, and then he tries to talk to him closer, and he says, man, get the F away from me, dog. Zeke is confronted with this, so he looks like he's ready to listen. Dante says, you want to know how you got your name? It's from Ezekiel 23. And he shows Zeke the tattoo that is on his arm. And he says, this is how you got your name. I had this tattoo since I was 16. Your mother was with me when I got this. Ask your mother about this. So Monet's stressed out. She's getting her stuff. She says to Diana, get the F out of my way, little girl. I have a meeting with Zeke's agent, and I have to straighten it out. But Diana sees Monet's phone. It's a message from a person with the letter D, and the message says, we need to talk about him, Nay. And Monet says to Diana, what do you care for? You already got what you wanted. You wanted to go to school, and you wanted your father home. And she says, I wanted to go to Stansville. She was like, you're not going up there with Tariq. And then she says, go Red Storm, and then she leaves. So it's a lot of animosity between Diana and Monet. It's getting ready to come to a head. In this scene, it's a whole lot of ear hustling going on. You got Professor Keylock, a.k.a. Milgram, ear hustling on the students' chat, and she hear how her name is being thrown around and how everybody know that she's a pass-around. And Tate comes in to ask about Jabari's memorial dinner and how come he didn't get a ticket. And she says, well, the tickets were there for only people who knew him. So she basically doesn't want him there. So he's not invited. Dean Wong comes in and he wants to talk to her in private. And he feels like her personal life is being discussed at the school. And maybe she shouldn't make any speeches with the donors as well as at tonight's banquet. And ear hustle number 2 is Councilman Tate, and he hears all of this, and he swoops in to get an opportunity to get that ticket to go to this dinner tonight. He kind of saves her. So he basically looked out for him to make sure she's still able to participate at this dinner, and he gets a ticket for the ball. Now we see Monet here. She is on a warpath. She wants to know why Zeke missed the meeting with the agent and where's he packing to go. And he tells her that he needs to go home and talk to his mother because a man came to him today saying that he was his father and showed him a tattoo and he needs some answers. And then she tells him to sit the F down. Once again, she lies to him. She lies to him and tells him that his father is dead. She says dead and in jail. My question is this. How much animosity you think Zeke is going to have towards Monet once he finds out that Dante is really his father? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Zeke was like, and the guy said something about a tattoo, and I just need to know some answers. So Monet confronts Dante about him going to see Zeke against her wishes. She said, why did you go behind my back to see Zeke? And he said, you forced my hand. You stole from me because I don't even remember choosing not to be in my child's life. So Monet lets Dante know that was a decision made for me. I was only 16. She was 16 when she had him. Then we find out that he got arrested, so that's why he disappeared, because she was like, where were you? You disappeared. He said, I got arrested. And he was like, it was either go in the army or go to jail. And that's what they used to do back in the days. You either go to the army or you go to jail, especially if you've never been arrested before. They would do circumstances like that. So he chose the army. He said if he knew that he had a family, he would have never left. And he lets her know that. By the way, I did point this out about him going to the army or jail on one of Lamont's live when we talked about an episode. So one of my predictions came out. So Tariq is back in the chapel waiting to meet with someone, and it is a meeting with Tamika. So Tamika, he wants to talk to Tamika because he doesn't want his sister to testify, because he says you don't want your sister to lie. But she has a heart-to-heart conversation with Tariq and lets him know that she thought the bodies were going to stop once his father died. And what did you tell me the last time I saw you? You said your father was the monster. She tells Tariq, I can only help you if I know the truth. I'm not going to be like Davis McClain. She shows him all of these pictures of all of these bodies that his father is attached to or accused of killing. Lobos, Lakeisha, Terry Silvers, and a witness. Now, I know for a fact, I've been watching the show just like y'all. Ghost ain't killed all those people. The only 2 people he killed there was Lobos and Terry Silver. The other 2 bodies are not his. But she's trying to help him. She lets him know that she'll help him, but she needs to know the truth and he needs to make a deal. And she does try to help him. She's going to go and talk to his attorneys. Tariq does tell the truth, but he doesn't say who actually killed the cop. He says he didn't do it. And he also says that he was forced to kill Jabari. So the meet between Mecca and Lorenzo starts off already with a little bit of tension because Lorenzo was only supposed to show up by himself and only one person was supposed to come. Now, Mecca's associate, the woman, she says the camera caught two people approaching. One, did you know about this? And now they're saying that Kane did something else again messed up. Drew and Lorenzo show up and Kane tells Drew, you need to wait outside. And Mecca says, no, we could be more hospitable now. They introduce each other. All of the product is going to be going to Lorenzo. Kane is cut out. This leaves him where they're not even going to be able to do course correct. All of the product will be going to Lorenzo. So it basically cuts him out. And it looks like it looks like Kane is slowly working with Mecca now. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. They also set up a thing where he's going to help them get more soldiers. So Mecca will be providing soldiers for Lorenzo so he could take over Queens. And this makes it look as if Kane is solely working with Mecca now. So he's cut out as the link to the connect. So you know this is going to cause a lot of tension in the Tejada household. We get to Jabari's memorial dinner service and Professor Milgram steps to Lauren and tells her how she saw her with Tariq earlier and she needs to stay away from him, that he's a murderer and a drug dealer. Lauren holds her own. She says you don't even know Tariq. His mother's gone, his father's dead, he has no one but his little sister. Brishandria comes up and she lets Lauren and Professor Milgram know that Dean Juan is looking for them. And she wants to know, she feels some sort of vibe. Is everything okay? Meanwhile, we see the Weston's family at the table, including Braden. Trace Weston wants to know why is it important for them to attend this. And the father says he's an alum, so he has to attend this. Braden sees Tate and conveniently leaves the table. Councilman Tate introduces himself to Robbie Weston. Things seem to be going well between Councilman Tate and Robbie Weston until Tate mentions the possibility of a compromising picture being released. And he gives him an opportunity to tell Sweeney to step down. Robbie Weston tells him, I don't take lightly to being blackmailed. And Rashad Tate says, only blackface. Weston's facial expression changes and Tate walks off. Braden sees this exchange go down. I guess he feels like he might be in the line of fire with all of this going on where it might come back. Brishandria and Lauren introduce Professor Milgram, and she says it's a privilege to introduce esteemed author and well-respected co-worker, Carrie Milgram. I thought Lauren was being sarcastic and was well-deserved towards Professor Milgram. So Professor Milgram starts off her speech saying Jabari Reynolds was an enormous talent with an even bigger heart. And Bishandria says, was his heart in his pants? The entire audience was talking about her. Talking about the book, blah, blah, blah. Professor Milgram runs off and she gets upset. They even know about her sleeping with Zeke. So her reputation in this school is trashed right now. And that's all on her. This was all her fault. She couldn't take it, so she runs off. She runs back to her office. And guess who comes to try to make her feel better about the situation? Rashad Tate. At first, she tells Tate to leave. But he says, wait. I know you. She said, I know what you're going to say. That everything's going to be all right. Or it's not that bad. And he said, no, that's not what I was going to say. It is bad. Everybody was talking about you. But what I've learned is that basically he told her, you got to dust yourself off and keep surviving. So he gives her a little pep talk. Let me find out though that Tate gonna be the next one to hit Professor Milgram, and he gonna get key lock. Lauren comes to Tariq's room to apologize, and while they are talking, she says that Tariq, there's some things I need to say to you. And then Diana comes up while she's apologizing, and Tariq says, "No, Diana, you're good." She was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she says, "No, you're good." And he lets Diana in the room. He tells Lauren, "My lawyer tells me I shouldn't be talking to you." And he slams the door in her face. And she looked like a sad little puppy when this happened. Do I feel bad for her? Yeah, because I feel like Professor Milgram manipulated her. Now, Diana's in the room and they're talking. And she lets him know what's going on. She said, "I came to talk to you about my family." And at first, he was like, she was asking about course correct. And he's doing all this Mac Daddy posing, laying across the bed, trying to look like a Don. And she tells him how her parents, she thought while her father getting out, her parents would be getting along better. But it seems like everything is not going right and they're drifting further apart. And she also asks Tariq if she knows of anyone by the name of D that works with her mother. And he doesn't know. So he comes there, she tells him she's going to St. John's, and she tells him she wants to be in a relationship with him. And he was like, "Well, if we do this, your mother can't know about anything." And she says, "Say less." And at this point, they're together. He knows now about the father trying to get his business back. She knows that Monet wants to get out of the business. He knows that Drew is thinking nothing about, all he's thinking about is Everett. And Kane, he's a loose cannon as usual. I feel like Tariq really needs to be careful messing with her. It could go left, especially if Effie finds out. Or we might even see Effie and them have a threesome. I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there. Back at the Tejada's house, Drew is chilling watching TV. Kane snatches the remote and they get into it, and he's jealous because now he feels like you think you got Poppy on your side and you think you running shit. Kane says, "Don't forget, I'm the one putting food on your plate." Drew tells Kane, you're not smart enough to run shit. You're just a guard dog with a different master." And he asks him how Ramirez's badge ended up in Tariq's drawer. And if you think I figured it out, you don't think Tariq's lawyers is going to let the DA know? And he also tells him the Jabari is dead because of Everett, and if it wasn't for him, your boyfriend snitching, the professor probably would still be alive. They get into a fight. Drew and Kane start fighting. They breaking up shit in the house. And Poppy comes and he breaks it up. And Kane tells about how the boyfriend is a snitch. And Lorenzo stresses again, we can't have any loose ends. And basically it needs to be handled. And then Kane says, if you don't handle it, somebody else will. So I think Everett's days is numbered at this point. So you have Davis McClain, Sachs, Tariq's judge. They are all there to question Yasmin to see if she will be able to support Tariq's alibi. Davis McClain questions Yasmin first. We find out how Tariq put the fire out because when the bacon got set on fire, because he was there, he woke up and went downstairs and put the fire out. But it still doesn't prove that he was there all night. So they go back and ask, what did they do when he came? And she said that they were watching Disney. She also said that Big Mama went to the store to get something to drink. But that was before the sun went down. So now the story is kind of conflicting itself. So it's in some inconsistencies in the story. And Jenny Sullivan finds that out right away. Tariq sees where this is going. And he shuts the whole thing down where they're not going to use her, Yasmin, to testify on Tariq's behalf. Tamika sees how this is all going down, and she's starting to have a lot of sympathy for Tariq. Kane meets with Monet, lets him know that he's been cut out of the supply, and there's going to be no more course correct, so they can't even get this money up to pay Davis McLean. So they got to figure out what they're going to do at this point. Sax is getting coffee, and he sees Tamika, and Tamika tells him he needs to really help Tariq out because he knows he's going to go down for killing a cop, and he needs to make a deal. And Sax is reluctant to help him because he feels like Tariq is already a cop killer, and maybe this is the murder he needs to accept and do the time for. But she convinces him to try to get him to work out some sort of deal where he's doing at least a little bit of time instead of going down as being a cop killer. Drew is watching Everett, and he's following him. He's about to shoot him, and he puts his mask on. He watches him leave the bar, gets out the car. He got the hammer in his hand. Drew is following Everett, and all of a sudden his phone goes off. His phone goes off, and Everett looks like he's texting, and he's texting Drew. Drew gets the text, and it says, "What are you doing? I miss you." Drew answers the text and tells him he misses him too, and that he's on his way to see him. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't kill him. So I don't know how this is going to go down. He wasn't able to kill Everett. He knows Everett is already scared of the police. So let me know what you guys think. Do y'all think Kane is going to do it? Diana is back at the house, and Zeke is on the couch, camped out. She asks Zeke what he's doing here, and he says, "Auntie says that it's best if I spend the night here. It's this Rick Fox looking nigga out here named Dante claiming to be my dad. She says that it's safer here." She says that it's safer here, and it's just impossible for this guy to be his dad, and he looking for a come up.
"Auntie says some Rick Fox nigga claiming to be my dad, so I need to stay here."
Now, you know Diana ain't stupid. She heard the D. She gonna put stuff together. Let's see what happens. Davis McLean heads to the parking garage to leave for the evening, and he has a surprise in the back seat of his car. And it's Kane. He's threatening him, telling him that this case better go towards Tariq killing the cop, and he points the gun at him. I don't think Davis McLean is scared. He's just speaking in a moderate tone, so this person is, if just in case this person is a trigger happy person, which he already knows that he killed 2 people. Now, he tells him as long as the money's coming in, you and Tariq are together with this. So as long as he's free, you're going to be free. McLean also reminds Kane that if it wasn't for him putting that badge in Tariq's drawer, they wouldn't be in this predicament. As McLean is leaving, he says, "Tell your mother I said hello, Kane." So, you know, Kane just makes one dumb mistake after another, and I feel like he's going to reap the consequences of all of the stupid mistakes that he has made this season. So Mecca and Carlito's crew attack the BSK crew, and they're getting their situation ready to take over Queens. It was a very tactical event, very organized. They had infrared scopes on their guns, and everything went through without a hitch. Lorenzo gets a text from Raquel letting him know that the job is done. He's not the only one that got a text. And Monet gets a text from D saying, "Can we please talk?" Tamika Sachs and Jenny Sullivan come to Tariq's dorm with a deal where he can get 5 years in jail, his sister will be in a good foster home, and his grandmother will be in a rehab. But he has to tell who shot Detective Ramirez. Tariq does not feel comfortable with taking this deal. He feels like if he takes the deal, he knows that he will not be safe once he's in jail. And he feels like he wants to do like his father would do. So he rejects the deal. Tamika and Sachs leave. Tamika says do not contact him again. And Jenny Sullivan basically thinks that Tariq is a fool. Davis McClain confronts Sachs and he's pissed off. You went behind my back to make a deal. We need to find out what Tariq's girlfriend is going to say, who was her legal counsel at the police station, and he finds out that it's Professor Milgram. And he laughs. Now I'm trying to understand, how did they let her be on this case and she was considered a suspect at one time? Isn't that like a conflict of interest or something? For someone who teaches an ethics class? I'm just saying. Tariq meets with Kane. Kane tells him that the supplier cut them off. There's no more product, so you need to figure out how to get some product fast because they both got to pay their lawyers and you're the smart one. And he tells him it sounds like it's a you problem. It's a both of y'all problem. This dude is so stupid to me, Kane. I feel like Tariq is going to go somewhere and get some product. He got people that his father knew, and I think he's going to work something out that way and get some product. And he's not going to mess with dude no more for a minute. That's my opinion. That's what I think. Davis McClain shows up at Professor Milgram's apartment to tell her, I always knew you was unhinged, Carrie. But using a student to sabotage my client under the guise of being her counsel brings you up. I can bring you up on ethical charges. And Carrie has a rebuttal about his ethics. And he also brings up, I can name 4 people alone that's connected to this case that you slept with. And he tells her, he says, if I put Lauren on the stands, I'm gonna rip her to shreds. And she lets Davis McClain know if Tariq finds out that and she testifies against Tariq, that it could put her life in danger. But she should have thought about all of this before she even manipulated that girl. Now, Davis McClain says, I will do anything, I will do whatever it takes to make sure my client stays free. And his word is his bond. He's going to stick by that. He's going to make sure Tariq stays free. So that was my review of Forced My Hand. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the hammer. Let me know that you stopped by. Please answer the questions in the comments. And tune in for my future videos. Later. Ow.